And with words, we just continue. I would like to welcome so special guest to our show today, and I have already shared to her that before I'm actually starting on delivering impact F to F, face to face, on in real world, which I love interaction. So this very precious lady, she's my dessert. She's my last one before I start in shows again, and I'm so privileged. I'm so honored. We're already on this magical vibrations and connections, because I do love, you my beautiful audience know that I do love to have small talks before I start the show, just to hit up, but with people when you're at the same level of awareness and frequency, you don't need to hit up, you immediately in the same wave, right? And then I just try to push button when to start recording, because I don't want you, my audience, to miss all our gems. So please help me to welcome the I was so, I don't know, I was so into you, so I actually forgot to double check the right pronunciation of your name, because this is very important. It's Teresa, right?
Yes, exactly.
Teresa Fracasso, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, perfectly. Thank you so much, because we are so diverse, and it can be the same name but from different parts of the world, and you never know. Like you're very good friend Valerie, and I'm Valeria, but we are Val there, Valerie there, Valeria there. So okay, so Teresa.
Your name is the Italian way, Valeria.
Valeria. Yes, I love Valeria. Oh, I love it. So, okay, but am I correct? Teresa, right?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So, welcome to Diversity is the Game Changer, to the podcast where we uncover how real transformation begins when we embrace who we are, how diverse we are, how we think, perceive the information, where we come from. And today's guest is a living embodiment of multicultural wisdom and embodied leadership. So again, welcome to the show, Teresa.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We are also very, very happy and privileged that you gave the priority to give the most precious commodity of your life. It's your time, attention, and presence to us. Teresa is a passionate entrepreneur, a leadership and team building coach, and a trailblazer who blends movement, mindset, and strategy to empower others at the highest levels. Born in Germany with Italian and Brazilian roots, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Raised between cultures, she brings the world into the room and into every conversation about leadership, resilience, and growth. And I could experience that. Oh my God, guys, you believe me, this lady, I just could experience through the small desktop of my phone. I was really into it. You are so contagious, amazing. With over 20 years in the wellness industry, she is a third generation Pilates teacher, a certified power yoga instructor, and the co-founder of the Plexus Method, right?
Exactly.
As well as the co-owner of Plexus Rome, one of the city's leading health studios. She's also co-founded the Silkway Roadshow, an international platform for women's leadership across borders. So please again join me in welcoming the amazing, the visionary Teresa Fracasso.
Oh, thank you for the beautiful intro.
Thank you so much. And everything about you can imagine. And I could go on and go on, but I really would like you also to talk today, because yes, I'm not good at listening. But I'm working on myself. I'm promising.
It's a good practice for you. And doing the podcast is a good practice. And we were already chatting about 20 minutes prior that you hit recording, talking about being aligned with the energy. So we'll just continue our nice conversation for the audience to get us into the world. I think what really means not to be diverse and to be included and to rise despite all the challenges that life brings us. And I think when we are multicultural, I think it's a really superpower, because you can see always from different lenses and perspective and from different nations, and you understand so much, and you also understand that our problems are not that far away from each other, no matter obviously the country or where you come from.
Thank you so much. I immensely appreciate it. It's a really wise and beautiful knowledge. And the first, our segment, our topic, we are going to elaborate, because we all know that the persons we are today, we actually created, shaped from our roots, from our childhood, right? And where our identity and actually resilience starts
Yeah.
growing, feeling challenge, and how we train our resilience muscles all the way from childhood. Yes, and I do love your quote. While we cannot always choose our circumstances, we can choose how we rise through them. And we have to actually do that from our childhood, right? So, my question is, growing up between culture, German, Italian, Brazilian, how did your early life shape your sense of identity and belonging? And actually, how your childhood impact influences the mindset and the person you actually have become today? Thank you.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. Let me divide this first into the cultural, because the resilience is a very big part of me. So I was born in Germany to a German Brazilian mother and to an Italian dad. And both of them were very, very different personalities. They're still alive. But my mom was a very big achiever at work. I think that probably like she was escaping the situation at home.
Mhm.
And she came from a very very cultural rich family, and she raced for a big time of her life in Brazil, and she gave us always like a lot of that light and being optimistic, despite all like the hardship we had.
Mhm.
And my dad is Italian and came from a very simple upbringing. Not that there's nothing bad to that, but he unfortunately lied on everything on my mom, and he started to emotionally and physically abuse her really early in the relationship. And
Oh.
I have a brother, and he emotionally like abused us. And without getting down to the details of the trauma about what it did to me, is that I knew I had to be resilient way before like I knew what resilience even meant. And I grew up, so I was born in Germany, but then we moved to Brazil, then we moved back to Italy, then we moved back to Germany. So there was always like this little bit here, a little bit there, for career, mainly for my mom. And then my parents were forever in crisis, but my mom could not let go of my dad because he was manipulating her in such a big way. And for victims out there of like physical or emotional abuse, it often happens that you want to like get rid of it, but you can't because you're so scared like that this person would do something to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So many reasons that you almost become like dependent. But I somehow, I don't know how, I was thank the universe, was born with strength, like with a lot of like internal strength, and knew that there was like something completely off until like the big trauma hit me, that my dad abused me to a point where, okay, I knew, okay, this is really like not what a normal human being would do.
Mm-hmm.
It broke me, it shattered me to pieces. And I said, oh my God, how can I really have trust in man again in my life? But everything worked out because, going back to the quote of why you can't choose your, your circumstances, you can choose what you make for it. So I had to be often the adult in my childhood for my mom. I stepped up for her, I protected her often. She also tried to commit suicide twice, and like, so all of these situations that are not there for like a safe upbringing. But what I understood was that movement was part of starting to be safe, because I felt obviously like very disconnected. Like my body became a place of control, of fear, and of silence. And I went through disordered eating, overachieving, emotional disconnection. I either overshared and I was super anorexic. All of the things that you can imagine that like passed. And then I had like severe PTSD because I had fear for my life because of the trauma that my dad made on me. So a lot of things, right? But I did not want to be a victim because I'm not a victim. And I knew that somehow I was so resilient. So like the movement in horses were like the first step for me to understand what resilience mean. And horses are like amazing animals because they really truly like mirror your emotions. So you can't bullshit them. So if you have fear, they react with you with the fear. If you are calm, they react with you with calmness. And boy, did I fall from the horse so much in my life because, you know, like of my own emotions. But that kind of, they were my therapy, make me understand, okay, like how can I do interact in a way with them and with me that I was calm. So this connection somehow started to rewire myself without my nervous system, without me even knowing that I was rewiring it, which was very curious. And then I started to dance just for pleasure, like never because I wanted to be a dancer, but just that feeling of freedom and not judgment that was like so important for me. And my parents finally divorced when I was 15 years old, and I wanted to move away from them. And my mom, out of love, let me go. And I moved to my Brazilian grandmother and my German grandfather to Germany. And I actually like lived with them for 3 years, where I then finished my high school. And that was a place of healing for me because I felt safe. But the trauma, you know, from so many years of living it, like you are just in this safe, like in this alert, fight, flight, freeze mode all the time. So finally, though, I could process. And then I was always really curious about how people communicate because I came from such a dysfunctional family. And I wanted to understand, okay, if body somehow helps me, what can I do more? And so I started communication because I was always like really interested in what like we can do. And then I met my husband when I was like really young, and he was already doing Pilates. And I thought, okay, like what is this? And so he opened this door to me because it was just a communication, right? Through the body, through what you do. And I said to myself, actually, like I don't want to work. I was like doing a lot of internships in TV and in like journalism and all of that. I said, this is great, but I really, I think, want to do something that's more meaningful because of my past. I didn't just want to have a 9 to 5 office job sitting at the desk and doing the tasks that someone would give to me. I understood really, really really early on, I mean, that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to do like you are doing, like that's very courageous, to share, you know, the story and to help literally. And since I come from a strong mom at work, but a really weak mom at private life, I wanted to give the voices to women, including myself, allow the connection to happening. So what I was seeing, I have this studio here of health and movement and all of that, seeing in the workplace is that we all come in not connected and we all are in our head so much. So in order to really understand what is happening with you, you need to recognize actually how your body even works and how to connect these two parts together. And that resilience doesn't mean to push through to the bitter end. It really means to understand actually when to let go of the bad relationship, of the bad job. That is what resilience is, right? Resilience is passing yet the storm, but also understanding how to navigate the storm and setting your boundaries in a really like firm way. So while I was teaching here the body, I also understood this is not the end of the puzzle piece that was missing. So when pandemic hit, it was for us a huge resilience task of surviving in this business, I became a coach because that was the perfect piece to put mind and body together. And then for what I was doing already for years and years and years, which is the RISE method, which I created, I finally could codify it. And now I really have this 4-step method that I can give as tools as a survivor, but you don't also have to go to this big trauma in your life. Like, we all need to understand how resilience works. And I wish I would have these tools that I have today to give to people to help them. And I saw so much how like this helped. And coming back to your original question, like how did your childhood influence, right? It influenced so much that I knew that I wanted to help because I suffered so much, and give the voice to people, mainly to women, to not stay silent, to really do something that is bigger for them, because we just have this one life, so we don't want to live it in sufferance. And I saw from my own experience so many people around me, including my mother, obviously as a close person, but so many clients that had suffering. And why do we need to suffer? We really can choose to heal if we have the right tools.
Wow, what a powerful, colorful, wise, deep story of your life. Almost TED Talk. And I cannot be more agree that everything you have elaborated so true, because it's so relevant to my story. Maybe it was just a little bit gender switch, like my father was really abusive, aggressive. No, of course, I mean your father as well. It was my father, I mentioned it was another type of addiction. It was alcoholism and everything, but the same pattern. I had to be resilient before, like you mentioned. Actually, I knew it was existed, and I had to be grown up and wild and take all these considerations being just a child, and basically all the time all this freeze mode, fight, flight, but freeze, right? And which so many years has been stored and stuck in my body. That's true. And the body, our body, right, is our precious holy vessel, actually, which reminds everything. It's like it's in this book, the body holds score, right? And at the end, yes, at the end of the day, one day, it doesn't matter how many times, many years you try to escape from yourself, from your head, from your body, until the point you come to this special changing totally experience that you have to actually be back, to go back, to face your holistic yourself, and try first of all to sit in silence without all this noise which you try to put, like specially to disrupt you actually to come into yourself, because it's so scary to raise all those questions, because you have to face all this trauma, right? And deeply it's really scary job. But without that, actually, you try to first, like disconnect your head, disconnect this part of body, this part of body, and then the whole body at the same point. Then actually you are more and more distant, and you try pretend that you have control, but then actually you don't have, because we never can have control of anything what's actually surrounded us, right? Just how we approach all the circumstances, right? How we, like you have mentioned beautifully, can look at them with what kind of perspective in our mind we can put. And of course, when we are kids, we just reflect, we just act, handle reactively. We are not responding, we're reacting, because we are put in the situation that actually cognitively, emotionally, psychologically, we are not wise and prepared and developed yet. It's too early for us to even understand how, because it's not the level actually at which we have to be operated. We are not grown-ups to take the grown-up decision to protect what you have done for your mom and I have done for my mom. But you and me, we all know that if you don't come to the point in your life, you start like walking through embodiment, through actually talking to yourself in silence, in stillness, sitting and like trying to really be embodied, right? And be
Mhm.
alignment, your spirit, soul, mind, and body. So actually, nothing can happen further because there is no way the trauma goes away from you. But just when you're grown up, you have actually possibility and responsibility, because many people, you know, they always can find the still escapement that they are like this because of the trauma, because of the childhood, or because of the parents. And then you and maybe can answer them, yes, at that point you knew that you couldn't do better, or you did better with the tools you had. But now you have choice to change it. Now you're grown up persons with grown up set mind, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's
Mhm.
a practice. It's so difficult. It's like muscle. You have to work deliberately. You should put so much efforts every single day. It's discipline. It's no way like one quick fix or something, right?
No, no. But it's so interesting what you say, because you just said when we are adults, right? Like we understand, we recognize it, right? But yet, when we are adults, we often just live still, like the body holds the score, like still live with the trauma without even acknowledging it. And this is what I saw, when I teach people with the bodies, right? So if you think about like that 55% of our communication is through body language,
Mhm.
and only 8% is through words. So nobody's listening. And the body language is just so important. So when people walk in, that's already everything. Like, you understand already when they move, the way they breathe, and like, I know honestly maybe 10% of my clients who breathe properly, but the rest, unfortunately, they have like this very shallow breathing. So, and this is our life, right? That's the first and last thing we do in life. And people don't even recognize or understand that. Like, we walk like, through life almost like blindsided. So, what is so important in order to even get better? And I think better, maybe it's not the right word, but to really choose how we can like go with, because we all have our luggage, right? We all have our past. I mean, I don't know one person who just had like a really happy childhood, because that's just life, right? So honestly, I think it's about starting how to you recognize and reframe it. And so you really have to come to the point by saying, okay, I'm noticing that the stress I'm having every day is, there's something wrong with it. Like, that's just way too much. Or you just found out not that long ago with the OCD, right? So like, it's understanding actually that there's something happening. And then once we understand that there's something happening, then that's where I created the RISE method, right? Which is like my signature coaching framework, because it's for the man and woman, for both, but who's been strong for everyone else, but doesn't know how to come back to her or himself, right? To itself. So that happen often because we give, give, give. I'm making this now example as women, because we are like natural caregivers, and actually like we take care of people. We love to do that. We are also naturally people pleasers, is in
Yeah,
our nature.
exactly.
And and it's about, like understanding, okay, how much do I please? How much can I set the boundary? And so once you recognize where you are and what you're from, you reframe it. So I never say, oh, this happened to me, but this whole childhood happened for me.
For me.
Because otherwise, I would not be here today talking with you, trying, to really have a community, helping people. And what I'm also co-creating with Valerie about the Circle Roadshow is like really connecting East and West and putting women together, giving them like a voice that they are tired of like putting always this mask on of like, oh, this is me, I'm so beautiful and all filtered and all perfect, when We all know none of that is true. So you recognize and then you reframe it, and then you can really start this process of getting resilient. And resilient means really being strong within yourself, right? And that's why at the second step I have the I, which is integration of mindset and mind shift, because that happens when we also move the body, when we breathe, when we get, when we let ourselves go and we say, okay, I recognize it, I reframe it, and now my mind is ready to absorb all like the better habits that I'm creating, because we don't like change. If we are wired a certain way, changing that is very, very difficult. So you really like need to create, and I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've been teaching now body since a very long time. So the same way you build muscle, the same way we need our like neurons in our brain to fire together, to wire together, to create new pathways. And we can only do this if we really step out a little bit of our comfort zone. And then, which is the step number 3 in my method, is then you can strengthen your relationship within you and strengthen, therefore, also the leadership. A leadership not only is a sense of I work for a company, I'm a leader, but leadership within yourself. Because the way you lead yourself is then how you present yourself to the world. And I want to be careful though with that, because unfortunately the world, especially like, I'm in the yoga world, I'm in the Pilates world, I'm in the fitness world, I'm in the coaching world, like there's so much of the self, so much of the ego, of like self-care, self-love, self-awareness, all of it, right? We have to be really careful that this self-love then doesn't become into a narcissistic way that's like you above everyone else. We have to be really careful to nurture that in a very balanced and healing way. And self-love though is so important, because I never, like, I wish I would have the love that I was, the same way you probably like were like raised, not maybe with the love that you expected to have as a safe family place, right? So it's important for people who come with trauma to give enough of nourishment to yourself in order to understand that that's also then the way you can calm your nervous system. You can be a better mom, you can be a better podcast host, you can be like a better person in general, but to not overdo it with that kind of, because that's also what's happening. And then though, when you have that balance, you can elevate your skills. So this is what we had to do also in the pandemic. We invested everything we had in the studio and we elevated our skills. So my husband basically is also a physiotherapist. He founded his Plexus Method. That's the photo behind us. And it's the best of yoga, Buddhism, functional fitness, and it's recognized by the Italian Olympic Committee. So we have like a lot of awareness that we like bring to the things, right? And I became the coach. So we elevate our skills, because I think once you understand and recognize who you are, what your purpose is, and you work with your mindset and mind shift, and then you set boundaries and strengthen your relationship, leadership, then you can really elevate. And that elevation is then, can only happen once you have done all like these passages before. Because how can you shine, how can you bring yourself to the world if you are in constant anxiety, if you don't even recognize where you are? And it's so surprising. I mean, honestly, it will never cease, I think, to surprise me when people walk in here and how disconnected they are. And literally, when I ask them, please sit on, please sit and put your sit bones up, they really ask me, where are your sit bones? And where is the clavicle? And where is the hip bone? Do we have 2 hips? Do we have 1 hip? These are like questions I get asked. And I love when we make it light, because it's in life we have to have lightness, right? But it's so curious, literally. It will never cease to like not attract me. And I will always have as my mission to really connect us all. And I mean, I connect. I'm also, it's the healing part of my journey is also that, by healing with others, I also still heal the wounded parts of myself. Obviously, like the years of therapy, but it's a journey. And then it's a progress, and then like we maybe do some steps back. But the huge thing I can really say is that I achieved myself of self-awareness. And this is where I am today. And this is why I can also give the tools that I learned during the years.
Wow, amazing, adorable message to what an inspiring path you are doing. I'm so grateful, and I'm so thankful that you're doing that for yourself first of all, but not in this, like you mentioned beautifully, not in a selfish way, but really on the way with level of awareness that of course you have to nurture yourself first of all to be this, you cannot, like you heard many times, pour from empty cup. But also maybe if we turn to teenager language, you cannot be a hotspot and give the signal to other devices if you don't have strong signal yourself, right? So even in that way. And of course everything you're talking about, like how people disconnected, and yes, and they are even cannot imagine, right? Because many people, they just still live on autopilot, right? And you know that when you start giving them choices and open and give, it's like different glasses to put, try this color, try this color, then suddenly the person like, oh my god, I could actually approach and look to this world, into this world completely different. But then it's practice every single day, right? Because we know how much job and efforts you can show them the tool. You can be like a fairy person that you can show them the role to be the fairy from one bank to another, but the whole job then how to do is interact with these tools, practice them on the another bank, already they have to do themselves, right? So it's actually self-help. It's not what you can do instead of other persons.
Mm-hmm.
My second question was about diversity of thoughts and creative inclusive leadership spaces, because we all know that diversity is very beautiful but can be also very challenging if we really don't put this inclusive spices or glue or I don't know, like what is everything, what is connecting when you make beautiful, like Italian, then they make beautiful sauce which is actually connect everything in pasta, right? And because
Mm-hmm.
so, and I also would like to come back to another your quote where you're citing that I help people reconnect with their voice and build meaningful success. So in this process I would like to know what does diversity of thoughts mean to you, and how actually you try to make and create the space where different perspectives and different people, different minds can be welcome and celebrated all together. Thank you.
Well, as I started to work with more and more women from like different backgrounds, like they can be leaders, they can be founders, they can be creatives, they can be mothers, right? Whatever background there was, I was always hearing the same questions like, am I too much? Will they accept me if I speak the truth? Do I have to lead like someone else to be taken seriously? And oh my God, like the imposter syndrome is literally a global, a global doubt. I think that like we women all have, especially like I think what I saw is that the higher you get in your ladder, the higher also the imposter syndrome is. And sometimes, you think, oh, am I crazy that I have this thought? And I saw, like, no, you're not crazy. So what I saw often that these doubts are so global. And so it's the longing to lead with authenticity. And again, like it's a word that has been, like a little bit overused lately, especially like in the marketing world, when you see online, maybe like I'm in this, where the field and I'm in, like I'm hearing this so often, authentic, right? But what is like literally authentic? Because each woman brings her own lens. And I'm talking about women because I have mainly like female clients. And also when I coach, I do team building where I have men, and that's like a lot of fun. So like that's something else. But when I have my one-to-one coaching sessions, or when I do my conferences, they are mainly for women. So each woman brings their own lens, and but we all leave with hopefully like a shared understanding that we are more alike than we are different, and that we are very much stronger when we don't compete but witness each other, right? So I think there's like not one way to lead talking about diversity, but there are so many. So I think the more we can respect that being diverse, the stronger we can also build a community. Like I have people who are great achievers, but they like are high anxiety, or people with ADHD, or like, but that doesn't mean that they are worse or better. You simply have to work with what you have. And even, with neurodiverse people, we all have in the end very, very similar problems. And the way, like we, how do you say this in English? Like the way, like we come with, like we deal with these problems, they all are in the end like very similar. So that's why we also created, me and Valerie, the 5-city Silk Road journey, because it's just like not an event, it's like a living circle, and it's the container, right, for women from East and West coming together, sharing their stories, expressing the truth, and reconnect with really who they are and who we are, without having the fear of like talking. So authenticity, I think, really comes back to just being courageous enough, and don't have shame, what we said before we were on air, of like really telling who you are, who your story is, but just like own it that you have OCD, owning that you have ADHD, owning that you have like some depressed like kind of like status in you, because yes, like that's our past. It like we have all some scars, not scarves, scars. So it's like how like we like work with it. And I think the more we own it, the more we create this really safe place of like being women, of being authentic, that I say, okay, I really can be now who I am without being scared of being judged, or feeling less of worth. Like that's often like a big topic with us women. And so yeah, I think that would represent for me like diversity of thought.
Yes, beautiful picture you have described for us now, and actually it referred me to yesterday's podcast I had with also one brilliant man and kind soul. It was a male from Toronto, and we discussed also the power of transforming the adversity and this experience into superpower, or into creative fuel, or actually in the fuel to help empower, uplift other people, and the competitive versus collaborative, right? And when we came to depression and neurodiversity, and actually a lot of trauma, he has experienced a lot of that as well. So he came to the point in life also once, like and asked himself boldly, like, okay, what life could be, and actually where is life on our planet, where all the time just light and sunny and warm, right? Like we kind of believe in the science fiction or delusional that we have to just be on the sunny side, bright side. Everything should be just like really light and bright. And then if you ask so many questions, actually answers, they are laying in nature, right? And he asked like, okay, if we can think and get the answer from the nature, where in the earth actually that place where always sunny, always warm, always bright, and like plus it's a desert. It's a desert. And what is flourishing and actually evolving and growing in a desert? Nothing, right? But actually, where is the amazing alive collaboration, interactions, like synergies, symbiosis, and everything? If we compare it, it's a rainforest. Maybe it's not that sunny all the time. It's just a couple of sunshines, like rays, can go through, but under this crowns of and bamboos and all this, what's happening together? It's actually biodiversity, and it's how we thrive together. And actually, the answer in our nature is biodiversity and how they live into each other. They don't compete, because the rose. Why we love botanical gardens, right? Because we go and know, like roses, they actually are never concerned to compete with lilies. They love themselves so much because they are roses, right? And lilies, they are themselves. And we, even now, we have so much press with competition all the time, especially social media, right? We are constantly pressed 24/7 if we go in this trap. But we don't have to. But people like you and me came already to the conclusion, after pilot kind of drive us out immediately to be on this competitive trade all the time, like, because you don't, like you mentioned, you don't have to compete. You don't, you should be just your best ally, right? So yes, I think that collaboration, it's a really powerful magic of humanity, when we actually understand how much beauty we have in our difference, when we stay together, when we really, really can rise on each other's shoulder, right? Something together. So I'm so happy to know you and Valerie are creating this path, and I'm so proud I have discovered just recently. And one day I hope I can be also helpful, or we can even do something together. And my last, not last maybe, but for this our last post for you, you are talking about my approach blends physical intelligence and with leadership strategy. And I know last year I also became like certified in Kriya yoga, mindfulness
I love that.
teacher. Yes, I studied half a year, and I've been to special retreats and exams, theory and practice, a lot of. It was really big change for me, for my entire life, because before that I never was actually aware how I move and how I breathe. Something totally granted. And now after that, I never ever treat my breathing as I did before. It's the vessel, my body, the whole vessel for the most holy thing I have. It's my breathing. So I do love the approach you have, because in Scandinavia it's still even more like, this prejudice, stigmatization that strong muscle, strong leaders, they don't have to be weak and care so much about all this kind of feminine stuff, right? But actually the most strong energy in the world, it's feminine energy. And the yin and yang, and actually in the balance and harmony, what can actually cure all the everything what we experience now all over the world, right? Instability, healthy situation everywhere. So I mean, in my last question probably was, in this high performance environments, we have a lot of this mindset that actually people with neurodivergence, and with like my daughters, and I've talked to Valerie, and with actually many people now. So we like neurotypical, divergent, and neurotypical people, they always believe that our mindset have to be fixed, right? We have something because we are kind of broke. But what you believe we can do to go smoothly, move to more support and adapt mindset? How we can actually help all together? I do believe it's like you said, like embodiment, empathy. It's what you're doing. What would be your advice,
Yes.
especially maybe to younger generation? Actually, if you
Yeah.
have
Yes.
two advice, what they can practice every day.
Oh my God. Okay. What can I give to the young generation? I have also an 8-year-old daughter, so absolutely, I hear you. I think that what I'm seeing in the younger generation is, on one hand, a very self-aware and very confident young girls rising, and that's so beautiful to witness. So I would say, though, to really reconnect with yourself, to not have too many filters on social media. So really starting very easy, to really understand that self-love doesn't start from the way you look, but really how you treat yourself. So if it would be like a practical tool, is start to move your body. If you like didn't, like work out yet, or like you just came recently to the awareness of what like breath means, the moment you reconnect with your body, of course, it's very nice. I mean, I take care of myself, you take care of yourself. It's nice to look nice. Absolutely, 100%. But that's the consequence of your inner world. So start, like to like what is fun, like 20 minutes of cardio dance, or like weights if you are older a little bit, like after 40, you have to lift weights like this. It's just like, but it's a good feeling of being strong. So that would be like my number one advice. And my number two is, be aware, like you said at the very beginning, time is really precious, right? So be aware who is in your friendship circle, even if you are young, because I think that there's still like a lot of toxic, you said there's no place in the world where there's always sunshine. So we have to be really careful with toxic positivity and like the fakeness that social media is still giving us, with like, this is my healthy lifestyle. Like, be really aware with who you surround with. Like, make time only for energy that like really lifts you up. And I think that's like for any age. And you give energy, but also be aware that you also receive the good energy back. That's my second actually advice that I would give, because we don't need a woman to become tougher. Like, we need them to become more connected to their true intelligence, emotionally, physical, cognitive, intuitive. So I think that's like literally like what I stand for.
Amazing. What a powerful message. And I'm joining with all my body energy, first of all, waves and molecules and atoms. And on a funny note, I'm preferring always to wrap up my episodes. We're starting from a little bit magic and childhood, those sometimes our childhood actually not much magical, but still, I do believe in magic. How you can I do believe in creating magic by your own hands as well. And I'm calling her my beauty taffy vice president. You know from which fairy tale this, right?
Of course, that's
Yes,
beautiful.
it's beautiful. I've been to Morocco, delivering a keynote of in the actually Christmas time, and I discovered that okay, for my podcast, I really need a beautiful princess, and pink my beautiful color, and she's a toughy one because she wants to also, she's on a mission to help as many guests as possible. So my very last question for you will be, if today, just right now, just you can close your eyes, breathe, and you could make one wish, because she cannot grant like genie in Aladdin tree, but one wish she can grant for you. So can be big, small, whatever you actually just right now would like to project into this world. What could be that wish for my vice president here?
To be, not to do. To be and live the energy of just enjoying the moment, because that's all we have. And to live in gratitude for that.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, and I will watch.
Beautiful thing. That's really nice.
Yeah, that she starts when you see for your Silk Road actually. So if I'm joining one day, so I will take my vice president.
Yes, that's
Nice idea,
wonderful.
right?
Yes. And thank you for holding such an important space. It is so, so important. And for like, I love the title Diversity is the Game Changer, because you encourage people through that. So this is so important. So really keep up doing this.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful, really, Teresa, to you, and of course to my beautiful audience. They are with us, Tune, and I do hope we make ripple effect, and I really know that's true, because healing is seasonal, but it's very contagious, right? It's not linear, like it's like this, we know that. It's also important to give the space for yourself, that when on your healing road you can have setbacks. It's okay. It doesn't mean that every single day you suddenly on a miraculous cure and everything just better and better. No, sometimes it's again back, but then again it's like this. So my closing reflections, first of all, of course, thank you so much for being with us. And your work is a reminder that our life, like you said, be yourself every single moment, just what we have now, and gratitude, that you're bringing it into everything, what you're doing, what you're actually radiating. For me, even before I could say just hi to you and look into your eyes. I'm kind of Italian, Ukrainian. I'm very tactile. I'm a very movement person as well. For me, it's almost not possible to sit here. Like when I'm sitting here, my legs like this and that and that, because I always actually love also, and like, enter the room and be in this flow of energy. I hope we can experience that also soon together. So about take out and our message today, that yes, be yourself, not be afraid to go and to be aligned more with your body. Your body is your holy vessel, right? It's actually gives signal. All our questions actually in our body all the time. You experience everything. If you just have a second to make pain and notice what actually your body says to you in that moment. Body all the time give you signal, and if you can read this language, can scan this language, you're on a so much right way immediately, right? So thank you us for reminding that. And of course, the mercy of mind, culture, and body is not a challenge to overcome. It's a gift to weigh, to look, to live, and to lead from.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you
Yes,
so much. And
you.
for all of you, then stay tuned. We have a little break, because I'm like I mentioned in the beginning, and to Teresa as well. I'm invited to be keynote speaker about diversity of mind on a very special uh, retreats, gatherings of visionaries as well. So I actually have posted about these events on LinkedIn and Instagram. It's still a couple of places. If you somebody is interested to be the part of that. So, and I see you until next time. Stay safe, bold, and please never give up.
Exactly. Start living. Stop surviving.
Yes, exactly. Bye bye for today. I'm now disconnected, and you and me, we can chat a little bit more, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.